Good evening. We'd like to welcome everyone to City Council meeting here in Mapleton, Wednesday, September 4th, 2019. Councilman Lundberg will be joining us by, can you hear me? Good? Okay.
Is that good? You can't hear us?
Councilman Lundberg will be joining us by telephone, and Councilman Hanson is not with us this evening. His mother passed away, is dealing with family issues, so our thoughts and prayers are with him. We will, no one has signed up for public forum, but first we will have an invocation by Ethan AC, and then we will have a pledge of allegiance led by Councilman Nelson. Ethan, you're welcome to come all the way to the mic.
Okay. Our dear kind and gracious Heavenly Father, grateful for this day. Please bless those that need help will get it, and please bless the missionaries in the mission field, that they will be protected, and please bless that we will have a good day, and we say something in Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thanks, Ethan.
The audience, please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we will move forward, seeing that there's no one signed up for public forum, with look for an approval of the City Council meeting minutes of August 7, 2019.
Make a motion to approve all of the consent agenda. There's one item. We'll do it that way.
And the consent agenda, excuse me.
Just add one comment on item 2. Is that male or maple?
Oh, it's maple. You're right. I'll fix that.
I'll second. We have a motion by Councilman Nelson and a second by Councilman Carlson.
Carlson, yes.
Nelson, yes. Reid, yes.
All right. All right, we'll move forward. Item number 2 is action item. Is consideration of resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a consultant service agreement with Landmark Design for the preparation of an update to the land use element of the general plan and the creation of a parks recreation master plan for an amount not to exceed $79,120. Sean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This is a project we're really excited about. As you know, our land use element has been in place since 2009, and we talked about the need to get that updated to make sure that it reflects the views and the goals of the community. And so that's what we're attempting to do. And in addition to that, we'd also like to propose the creation of a new Parks and Rec master plan to help make sure that we're making good decisions as far as our parks and our open space go. So we sent out an RFP to some professional consultants regarding this project. We received 3 proposals back. Staff was able to interview each of the consultants, and we've unanimously come forward with a recommendation that we approve a contract with Landmark Design. Hold on for a second. The city adopted a budget as part of the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget of $80,000. The proposed budget with Landmark is $79,120. Their base budget was $59,990, but they included 2 optional services, one for a statistically valid survey at just under $14,900, and another service which is called Social Pinpoint, which is an online service that helps and provides another opportunity for the public to respond and be able to provide feedback. And we're very much supportive of those 2 additional options. So staff's recommendation would be that we authorize the mayor to sign a contract with Landmark Design for an amount of $79,120. We do have Landmark here, a representative from Landmark here, so I'd like to turn the time over to him. He can provide a little background about their firm and provide a little more description on their proposal. And then if the council has questions for him, we certainly can entertain those.
Great, thanks, Sean. Councilman Lundberg is now joining us by telephone. You can hear us? Jim?
Yes, I can, thanks.
Okay, we're in the middle of discussing the proposal from Landmark Design on the land use general plan update, and he's going to address us now.
Mark, sorry that our clicker's not working at the moment, so Corey will just hit those slides if you want to let him know when you want to advance those.
Thank you very much for inviting me here this evening. My name is Mark Vlasic. I'm the president and owner of Landmark Design. We go to the next slide. This gives a little overview of our firm. We've been in operation for just under 33 years consistently. I've worked with the firm for 22 years and have owned it for the last 10. We have a staff of planners and landscape architects. Full disclosure, all of us are landscape architects, and we think that's important for the type of work that we do because we really like bridging design with planning, and we find the training of having designers at the core is really a good contribution to our firm. And we've had that sort of structure to the firm since the beginning, and it's something that has been a core value of how we do our work. I am a certified planner. I've been a certified planner for 15 years, and I bring about 40 years of experience to the project. We go to the next slide. You see here that the staff that we're assigning to the firm are experienced and very talented. Lisa Benson, we can go to the next slide. You can see Lisa just below me. Lisa's been with the firm for going on 19 years. She's a very skilled designer and planner. She's also a certified planner and has managed herself many projects like this. So we're joining forces. I know the value and the importance of this project to the community. I believe that my expertise is going to add quite a bit to the project, but by bringing Liz on board, you sort of get a double whammy of both of our input. And then we're supported by Madison. She's one of the newest members of our firm, very technically savvy and just a good overall planner and designer. So that's our core team. If we need to bring in other members of our staff, we will, but we don't anticipate doing that. We like to keep it a tight group as we move forward, and particularly to make sure that we stay on track, on time, and on schedule. We also, as you see on the right, we have the statistically valid survey would be conducted by a firm called Reone Analytics. They're a professional polling firm. We found them to be very valuable for providing that service because they're able to do it through their methods a lot quicker than the old school method, which was basically we would prepare a survey, send it out in the mail, wait for responses, then hire some students to input all the information, then we would analyze it and go through. That process would take, just to get the information back, up to 3 months. We're able to get their top line, as we call it, the initial survey results within 6 weeks typically of when we set up the survey and take it out. And that's a remarkable help to us, so we're not hindered in our decision-making process as we move forward. So again, we can talk a little bit more about the survey. I'm sure you might have some questions about it, but particularly for the Parks and Rec master plan component, we see it as a very critical element. It helps you make decisions so that you're getting a clear vision of what the community wants. And quite often when it comes to making decisions about land and open space, that you get special interest groups out. So it sort of balances out what we hear from special interests and what the general public typically wants and needs. We go to the next slide. So our planning process is tried and tested. We've done about, I'd say, over 50 comparable plans to this over the years. And we basically start out with sort of equivalent to how a doctor operates. The first thing you want to do is identify what the needs are. So we document, do a lot of mapping, get to know your community. We conduct our initial meetings, which we call scoping meetings. And then based on that, we analyze the information and come up with then alternatives for your consideration and the public's consideration. We know this project is a little bit special. We're really having quite a bit of public involvement here. We want to make sure that we hear from the public clearly and that we interpret what they hear correctly as we move forward. That's a big part of any land use plan update, but I think would be particularly important here. That's why we're recommending a very robust process using different tools such as the survey and social pinpoint. So once we've developed the alternatives, we go through a process, usually a workshop, where we engage with the public and we and yourselves, decision makers and others, and we then come up with a preferred direction. We refine it, move forward, and that becomes your draft plan, and then we take it through final development. It's a little bit unusual the way we structure this plan, because typically a Parks and Rec master plan is part of your general plan, and since we're really just focusing on land use, we decided to illustrate that process separately. They'll be conducted concurrently, and they will both, as end results, be presented as elements to your general plan that you will hopefully eventually adopt. So they will update your general plan in that regard. Next slide. So this outlines the process. We basically have 8 basic tasks. The first one is our community engagement. In addition to the methods that I just mentioned, one of the core things that we have is we assemble a plan advisory committee from the beginning. We like them to be as broad as possible. We don't want them to be so big that they're unwieldy, but we find that the more voices we bring to the table, right, provide input, direction, the better. And we know that we might have some contentious issues here, so it might be good to get a really broad spectrum of people coming and advising us as we move forward. Webpage, social media, that's more and more important. You're a young and growing community, and I'd imagine it's a cornerstone of how you communicate and how people communicate with you. We tag right onto that, but the core of that is our webpage, that we can disseminate information almost immediately once we've prepared it and reviewed it. That way, we can't be accused of withholding information or that we're sort of controlling the process. We could be accused, but we feel pretty confident that we're actually doing it. Public meetings, as I mentioned, there's 3 basic ones: a scoping meeting, a workshop, and then a public open house to review the draft plans. And then the survey, the social pinpoint, and then we'll be briefing you and the members of the planning commission. I believe at least 2 occasions we can do it more frequently than that if needed. The next task is then, as I mentioned, review your existing plan, documentation. We're acknowledged for our good mapping. It's something that we find essential for a land use plan, so we start off with what's actually on the ground, and I think we've met with staff and understand that you have a pretty good system yourself, but we'll want to spend some time verifying that to make sure that where we start is accurate. We then move through our analysis stage, which is trying to really get to where you have vacant land, what the proposals are for them currently, and try to come up with that idea of eventually developing some alternatives. That's part of our research and analysis. Develop alternatives, select through, again, a lot of input, a preferred direction, and then we craft that into the draft land use plan. And the land use plan, we see it also incorporating environmental assessment, and we'll have goals and policies as a critical part of it. I think for you and the planning commission, that is going to be critical, that the policies are aligned with where you want to be headed, because they should, in principle, be helping you make your decisions as we move forward. Then we currently follow a similar path for the Parks, Recreation, Open Space, and Trails element, but that's a different beast, just because it requires a little bit of soul searching about, as a community, where you want to be headed. And we do some very classic assessments. One is a level of service assessment. How many parking acres per 1,000 residents you have today, and how many you want to have for the future. And then we also do what we call distribution analyses, where we figure out how your parks currently are distributed. Are they equitable? Or do you have neighborhoods that have bad access to parks, or that would be improved? Using those two methods, we come up with ideas of how to tackle acquisition and development of parks in the future. As we all know, it's probably one of the most expensive things that you do as a community. So you want to make sure that you get it right, you get the right size of parks, that you think really well into the future as you grow, what kind of spaces you're going to need that you don't have today. It's actually, I think, a very fun and interesting process, but it's quite technical at times. We do similar analyses for your trails, your open spaces. We're always looking for open spaces to acquire them as much as possible through, not through buying them, but through opportunity. When opportunity arises, that's usually through public corridors such as drainages and those sorts of things. And every community is very different. For example, we did a similar plan for Aura. They have no open space in the city. They actually have shoreland. They come almost up to the foothills, but they don't have a single street corridor that goes through the community. And so they don't have much of an open space system, where other communities, sometimes up to 20 or 30% of their total land area is dedicated for open space. So it really just depends on who you are and what you are as a community. So that process will be going concurrently, and that's an easy thing. We tag on the public process for land use and parks and rec, and we hold those meetings together, and I think that also can help give a broader picture to the public of what we're trying to achieve. And they're not just there to focus on one issue, but they're actually getting engaged in the process, getting to be part of the decision making in the community, and we always think that's really positive. We have a lot of tools that we use, and if we find that we're having challenges, we'll find something that's going to work here. We are pretty creative when it comes to public engagement, and that's critical. You have to find the right way to communicate with each community, which is different. So we just take it through the approval process. If we go to the next slide. This talks about the statistically valid survey and social pinpoint. That's just a graphic typical of what a final result might be in the survey. We try to, Y2, as well as Landmark, we try to communicate very graphically and easily so people understand what we're talking about. And that's very important when we're interpreting the results of surveys. Social Pinpoint is a tool that we've been using for 2 or 3 years now. It's online. Anybody can take part with smartphones or their computers. And it's really a way of getting people to provide information who normally would be coming to a public meeting. It's fun. It's almost like a game, and people can get on and leave comments. They can download photos to show us where there are problems. They can start having conversations with each other. And we see that as something that's becoming more important over time, and as we become more of a digital community. Next slide. The schedule is 8 months. I adjusted it. I took the liberty of adjusting. We thought that we might be starting in August, so we're right on track here in September, and according to the schedule, will be done by the end of April. And as you can see, we're actually at a 6-month schedule with 2 months at the end for adoption. We will have some of our public meetings concurrent with that, but basically, we think the 6-month schedule is doable as long as we stay focused and we really, we don't run into any stumbling blocks along the way. We don't anticipate that. I have heard that you're considering, or that there's been the idea of potentially concurrent with this to have a moratorium on development or certain types of development during this process. I'm completing one moratorium right now in San Juan County. We just completed two, one in Moab and one in Grant County. Very contentious processes. And my only comment is that I think moratoriums would be great. By state statute, you're limited to 180 days. That's equal to our plan time. You have to have it adopted on 180 days, otherwise the existing, they can make applications. So the timing of the moratorium will be critical here. Do we start it from the day that we start? If we do, I'm not sure that we'll have it adopted, and if people are saying the writing on the wall of the new plan that it differs from what is currently in place, they legally could make an application under the current plan. The perfect world would be if they would extend it by 60 days and let us have 2 extra months at the end, but I'm not an attorney, but I don't believe that's possible.
We'll just raise the liquidated damages to landmark and make sure they're done.
Yeah.
5.5 months.
My take on it would be maybe we back from the end of April and we start it in months, because we're not going to have a lot of challenging stuff at the beginning, and have us to go from the beginning, 1st of November to the end of April.
But
That way,
to make application, what's the difference making an application now versus making, I mean,
Well,
it's still going to be 2 months either way.
the only difference is they'll know what is, it won't allow the work that we've done to take effect without, so they'll be
They'll know what the
informed.
result's going to be, but
Right.
yeah, they can,
So
they can.
I think, again, the perfect thing would, we were discussing in the office, we could really push the land use component of this quicker, but that throws everything out of skew and it makes it a lot much less streamlined process than what we had.
Mark, would you say like in Moab and San Juan, some of these other places were very contentious? Was it because of that, because there was a moratorium and the moratorium ended?
The moratorium just symbolized that we were addressing it. They were very contentious. I mean, basically Moab and Grant County want to stop temporarily and possibly permanently new hotel development.
It's more.
Yeah, that's hotels.
And that was for both the county. What we're doing in Grant and San Juan County is just, we designed a new town. It was big, about twice as big as Moab. And we're preparing zoning ordinances for it, and a small group of community members have come out against it. And so they decided to put a moratorium and allow us time to re-meet with the public and craft modified zoning ordinances. So that we're right at the tail end of that process.
Yeah.
So it's something that we can assist you with. We have experience with it. We can give you our advice on how we may want to proceed with. I think the moratorium, if you anticipate a lot of development applications during these 8 months, then I would say by all means we might.
So Mark, let me ask you, how do we know that we're getting a statistically valid and reliable survey?
So the methods that Y2 uses, the way that you get a statistically valid survey, and it doesn't vary really depending on the size of the community. In fact, they struggle with their method more with a small, tiny community than they do with a large community. And you're right in the zone where they are comfortable. But they need to get a minimum, and it's typically 400 responses, regardless of the size of the community. They need to make sure that they drill in, they use down to the traffic zone level to make sure that they're getting equal representation through the community. And using the method that they have, they can typically guarantee a minimum of 94% level of that is representative within a 94% level of accuracy and up to 97%. With typical polling methods, as I mentioned, where you just send them out typically to every possible community, which is an extreme cost with postage. We have to pay postage and postage back. And then hire people to analyze it. What we're shooting for there is at least 8% and a minimum, that's a minimum number. And this being Utah, people are heavily engaged, we typically get 12, 16, 18% return rate, which is, unheard of elsewhere.
And the validity goes up.
No, if you reach that, with that 400, that if they're representative, just distributed representatively, you go from 94 slowly to 95 to 96, and then to get anything above that.
So you're saying it's almost immaterial after baseline.
91 or 90% is considered statistically valid, 9 out of 10. So it's just getting to that level that's the critical point, and anything that you can get above it is good. And their method is, they use a range of methods, but they typically use an email database, and then they drill down the need to go out door to door if they need to go into neighborhoods that they don't have good representation rates. That this firm does this work as a major part of their what they do, but they're also, you've probably heard them, they do a lot of political polling as well. They work with a lot of political candidates. And we worked with them in Orem on determining whether to have a parks and open space farm. So they do the full gamut. They're very well educated in this. That's all they do. They're specialists. We had done the old school method for so long. We were reluctant to change, and this is one of the best things we've ever done.
Awesome. Just when we did the survey online in 2015, I think we had about 600 respondents.
But we didn't track.
Right.
We didn't track locale.
We did based on, I think it was we had 4 quadrants that it did track.
How did you reach out to them?
Most primarily through the city's website.
But it was open for.
It was
that
open
is not.
for anyone.
That is
You had a code
That
to
was the
get.
challenge.
You had a code to get in.
Oh, you did.
Yeah. So a code.
But one was issued to every household.
Yeah.
So that's more statistically valid than just having an open, anybody can take part. But it's that one, I think, where you'd be challenged is to make sure that you had equal representation across the board.
That's what this one will be superior to what we.
And so if you decide to go and include that service, we'll very early on we'll bring Eileen to here, and we typically have a session with you to craft the questions. And there's a limit on how many questions for it to be. They find that if they do more than typically 40 or 45 questions, their validity goes down because people could respond, or they just they push number 1 all the way through until they get to the questions.
I would think more than 4 would be
But I think here we're not going to only ask Parks and Rec questions. We're going to ask community value questions and land use questions.
So it's a little unclear to me, are the surveys separate? Will they be blended together? Will it be like
It will be,
section 1 and section 2?
it'll be one survey.
One survey
Yeah.
for parks and for
Yeah, and I don't know how they will structure that. If they will blend all those questions together, or if they will have, here's the first part, here's the second part. But typically, I think they're going to want to blend those questions together.
That sounds like the best.
Go to the next slide. It's just a detail of our fee proposal, which, so it's kind of showing how we're anticipating using our resources.
Okay. Any questions for Mark?
I have a question. It seems to me that the advisory committee is kind of an important position. Do you have a methodology or some ideas or some guidelines to follow as that is elected?
We do. We want a combination. Quite often, the weakest advisory committees are those that are one-dimensional. We almost call them technical committees. They're typically places where they're not confident with what the public is going to be saying, they're fearful of it. And so that it tends to be staff and maybe member council or county commission. We would advise that we would like to get 1 to 2 members of the council, 1 1 to 2 members of the planning commission. We would like to get neighborhood representatives. We'll find out as we move forward if you have discernible neighborhoods or not. You probably know more about that than we do, but we'd like to get a good cross-section. We'd like to get from the Parks and Rec site any special interest table about sports or if they're bikers or if we have any of those sorts of communities here. We find that some communities think of themselves as baseball or a baseball community. We want to get them right to the table so we can talk about that. So we want, and then we want specialists from staff. Obviously, we want planning and engineering, but anybody that can really weigh in. We're not going to be doing transportation. There may be issues we may need to include at some time UDOT on here, but typically not. We might just go out and meet with them to discuss any transportation issues. As you know, land use is the flip side of transportation. You can't easily separate them. But in this case, we are really focusing on land use, and we will rely on your staff and your current plans for transportation to inform the process. Move forward, but I'd say just a fairly broad spectrum, business owners or operators, if you have people that would be interested. We can reach out special to go to the schools and talk to youth because they tell us a completely different story, which is great to hear the diversity. Again, we're looking for diverse opinion. So we can actually do a little session, we can go to civics class or 2 or something like that to kids. If you have an elderly population, we can reach out to them. Any special interest groups that you think we can come out and have a special meeting. But that committee is advisory. I think that's the other thing we want to be very clear that they're not making specific decisions, but they're advising us as we move forward. You will be the ultimate decision maker. When we take it through adoption, state law is that we take it to the planning commission for consideration. They hold a public, I don't know your specific rules, but typically they will hold a public hearing at a certain point, and then they will make a recommendation to you for adoption with or without changes, and then you, I don't know if you also have public hearings at council level, that you think you're welcome to do that, and either way, and or not, if you feel confident with what the planning commission has done. And then you just move forward and at a certain point, hopefully make change, you adopt it with, again, with or without changes.
Great. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. Welcome. Any more questions for Sean or Mark?
I make a motion to authorize the mayor to set up, to enter into a consulting service agreement with Landmark Design for the preparation of an updated land use element, the general plan, and creation of a Parks and Rec master plan for the amount not to exceed $79,120.
I second the motion.
A motion by Councilman Nelson with a second by Councilman Carlson.
Nelson, yes.
Reid, yes.
Carlson, yes. Wilson.
Jim?
Lundberg, yes.
Carlson, yes.
Great. Thank you, Sean, and thank you, Mark. This is taking a lot of discussion to get to this point, so thank you for your time.
Thanks,
All
Mark.
right.
Thank you very much.
All right, number 3 is public hearing item. Consideration of an ordinance adopting a notice of pending ordinance amendments and enacting a temporary land use regulation establishing a moratorium on all rezone applications for a period of 180 days. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So this kind of, based on the discussion we just had, as you know, as we're updating our land use plan, the land use element really is meant to be a guide and a direction for the community. And so when we receive rezone applications, the land use element really is a very important consideration when we're deciding on those applications. And so what we're proposing at this time is to enact a 180-day moratorium on rezone applications only. What that would allow us to do is to go through the update process to avoid having applications come in that are inconsistent with the plan, or inconsistent with the vision that may come out of that plan. I think the two questions the council would want to ask is, first, do you support a temporary moratorium on rezones? And then the second, like Mark brought up, is when would that start? The proposal we have before you now is that it would start based on this meeting. It would be 180 days from now.
What did we notice in the paper?
We noticed that there would be an ordinance that would be proposing the.
So you didn't put a stop-start date in the paper?
No, it just says that you're considering the ordinance. So you have flexibility to decide on that. I think Mark's point is valid. Either way, we've got time either before or after, most likely, where the general plan may not be updated. So if you delay it until October, there's a chance that there may be a rush to have applications submitted before that date. If we start now, there may be applications, as he indicated, that are submitted before the general plan is adopted. So I think the council should discuss those two items. As far as Corey, can you hit the next one more? So who would the moratorium impact? It would only impact applications moving forward from whatever date it is that you determine the start date is. So right now we have 4 pending zoning applications, rezone requests. So those have been filed. If we start this today, those are all grandfathered in and we'll move forward through the process.
Why does it impact TDR receiving?
It
wasn't clear to me.
We proposed in the ordinance leaving TDR overlays out of the moratorium because it's technically it's just an overlay. You're not rezoning your property. And we thought it would be beneficial to continue to allow for TDRs to be used. You could include that if you'd like. We chose to keep it out.
I didn't know if it was by statute or what.
No.
But I can see what you're saying. Because it's not a rezone. Somebody could say, I want to bring in TDRs. Hallelujah, they're off the books.
Right. So that's what we're proposing this time.
Just a simple question on my part. If we enact it today, we would be more likely to know what the intent to be later on. And if we did, even though it may not be enacted, does that mean, wouldn't it be better to kind of have an idea what it is so that we would.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with rezone applications is they are legislative in nature, so the council has discretion to approve or deny rezone applications. So even if the plan wasn't adopted, you still have a certain amount of discretion in making a decision on a rezone application. So, right. Yeah, so I think for some of those reasons is why we discussed it as a staff. Our recommendation was that we start it tonight. Or start it tomorrow and go from 180 days and do the best we can to get the plan updated at that time. But this is a public hearing item as well, as far as discussion.
So as far as, Sean, the discretion that the council has on denying a rezone, how much discretion does the council have legally from the perspective of, if we, kind of what Reid was saying, if we started now, it's 6 months, we need another month and a half because they weren't done with their plan, but we have a preliminary, it's going through planning commission, we have an idea what it's going to look like.
They can make the application in 6 months.
They can make application the day after the 6 months, I understand, but we're a month, we're 6.5 months in, so 15 days has passed since the moratorium ended. And it's going to planning commission, we have an idea what it's going to look like. How much discretion does the council have to be able to deny a rezone based on what the plan is actually going to say? Is there any discretion to the council legally that they can do that, or does there have to be more different reasons or more different?
Yeah, you wouldn't. I don't think. I think you'd be.
Just check, make sure Jim's.
Jim, are you on still?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we certainly would want the city attorney's opinion on that if we got to that point where we were reviewing them. My take is that you would not want to rely on a future plan to deny an application. If there were reasonable reasons, there was a basis for your decision, that you could adopt findings, that this is why we're making the decision that we are, that we're tied specifically to the application and the surrounding area, I think you'd be in good standing. If If the decision was, we're going to deny this application because we think the plan we're going to adopt wouldn't allow it, then I think we would be, that would be a difficult position to be in.
Jim, did you hear the question?
Yes, I did. Good question, and I think ultimately Sean is absolutely right that we can't deny or approve based on an anticipated change to the land use element or the general plan. However, there's no question that as we consider zoning changes, that there are other factors that come into play other than what we anticipate, changes to the general plan may occur. So my recommendation, we put the moratorium in place as soon as possible, and recognizing that there will be the potential for a rush of zone change applications, but we will look at those zone change applications just like we would any other zone change application, applying the land use element of our legislative decision-making process. So I think that would be a way to move forward in the city zone.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Oh, okay, Sean, thank you. This is also a public hearing item, so we'll now open it for public comment. If you'd like to come forward and state your name, you can do so now. Seeing that there is no one, we will close public hearing and turn it back to the council for questions or comments. You want to make a motion effective immediately?
Wait and find out. Jim, you good?
I am, right.
Okay, I make a motion to adopt a notice of pending ordinance amendments enacting a temporary land use regulation establishing a moratorium on all rezone application for a period of 180 days effective October 5th, like tomorrow morning, correct? September 5th, sorry. I'm anxious for time to get over it. September 5th, 2019. Oh, that it will not impact TDR receiving zones.
I second the motion.
We have a motion by Councilman Nelson and a second by Councilman Carlson. Yes.
Carlson, yes.
Nelson, yes.
Lundberg, yes.
Great. One thing I do want to mention, this part of this, on this moratorium for rezones, it is because of the reason that this conversation started and came up. We had a few people actually reach out to us. One of them, I don't see her here tonight, Leslie, and then Mike was having the conversation and we started getting traction and going on this, that it makes sense that if you're going to take a community as a whole and say, what is it that you necessarily want? What is it that you envision? And is it following our general plan and all? And what we've intent, or what the intent of the general plan has been to say, all right, hold on for a minute. Let's make sure we get what the community actually wants, and then we'll continue forward again. And I think it makes a lot of sense from that perspective that also can be. It's also telling to me that you have a council that's actually willing and actually does want what the community wants at the end of the day. Because if not, it could be done like it's done previously, where it's just done internally, and they say, hey, here you go, here's your general plan, right? But this way, in paying for it, and just like we paid for all of our infrastructure studies, we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to get to this point. Now this is a key piece to that. And now we have infrastructure studies that says what we can and can't do and what the abilities are that we have. We add the general plan component, and we're in a pretty good spot, in my opinion. So, Sean, Stephen, Stacey, Camille, Corey, thanks for all your hard work and interviewing these people and getting this all ready. Thank you. We'll now move forward with administrative reports. Sean. Mr. Lord.
I do, but I went on the computer, so I'm going to Yeah. I got a little something to show you.
I'm gonna do mine real quick while you
Yes,
set up
Chief.
because mine are fast. What's that?
And then me.
And that's it.
This is an hour order.
I'm gonna be fast because I know you're not. Just real quick, first couple weeks of school have been great. Got the school resource officer up there at the junior high. Getting some good feedback there, so we're excited about that. The new crosswalk down on Maple Ridge is fine, so no complaints with the schools. Everything going good there. And then just quick thanks to everybody that helped with our public safety night out. That was sure fun. We had a good time down there hanging out with everybody. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks for all your hard work. We're sorry that helicopter couldn't show up.
Yeah,
But-
control.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
Went through all the hot dogs and everything.
Yeah.
That goes to prove people are,
It was fun.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, we had a good time. Even though we got wet. Yeah, that wasn't cool, but
It was cold.
it was cold.
thank you, Chief.
And Mayor, if we could, Stacey needs to.
Oh, yeah,
speak through it.
Stacey.
I believe Jim has also got some commitments, so Jim, if
Okay,
you need to
Jim.
leave, you're welcome.
Yeah, we're just boring, Jim.
He's already.
Yeah, I will, if it's okay, I would appreciate our drop off now. I have another commitment, but, thank you.
I'm sure you have an important hunt, so
Yeah, I wish.
thanks, Jim.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
See you, Jim.
I can talk faster than John, so. Just really quick, our soccer games and flag football games have started this week, so we'll be in full force there. Our Founders Day celebration is this Saturday. The Founders Day program will be at 4 o'clock, and then we'll have a dinner celebration, live auction, lots of donations, lots of great things happening between 5 and 8 that night. And all the proceeds will go towards the historical town square. And we are going to have the Relief Society building ready to go. So it should be a lot of fun. And we've got a lot of support from the committee, from the community and the committee. It's just been amazing to see how many people are devoted to this cause. And then also, the next thing we have is our Moonlight Half Marathon is coming up. It's on Friday the 13th, September 13th. So it should be a fun night, yes. So just some things to be aware of, and we'd welcome anybody that wants to come run it to do it. It should be a fun night.
Thank you, Stacey, and thanks for all your hard work getting this ready.
The aid station is going to be in the same place, right?
Yes, it is at the reservoir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just for information purposes, the Historic Committee's been working very hard on this. They're a super active committee, and I know there's a lot of people here that have helped with that, and it's actually amazing the emails that Stacey's received from community members that used to live here and then ones that live here now that have offered extra large donations of money because of the importance of what they're doing over there. So it's pretty cool to read those emails and see how critical this is actually being for the community. So Stacey, thanks for our hard work there. Also, I'd like to say before Stacey leaves, we've put together a landscape committee, landscape parks. I don't know what the correct terminology is.
Ad hoc committee.
Ad hoc committee. That's right. That's the government term. Anyway, that there are a group of very sharp individuals that are working closely with Stacey and their groups and different things. And Sonny will be involved helping us there. But anyway, I'd like to thank those individuals who offered their time to do that. Thanks, Stacey.
Thank you.
Reid.
Everything.
Okay, Jim?
Or Mike.
Jim's gone. Mike. Reid. Jonathan.
Just a reminder of the chamber from Springville, Mapleton on the 16th.
Okay, thanks, Jonathan. Corey, you want to wait till Steve's done? Go ahead, Steve.
All right, this is something we've been working on for a little while.
It says adjourn.
And that's just a teaser. I'm pretty excited about this, so I'm going to show it to you. So we've developed what we're calling a citizen problem reporter. This is going to be an online available system for the residents in Mapleton to let us know of any non-emergency problem that they come across. Think potholes, damaged signs, those kinds of things. So I want to run through it, just kind of show you how it works, and then we'll go from there. So basically, this will be the landing page. Once you get to it, we're going to put this on the website. So you'll get right here, and you essentially just pick the type of problem that you have. So if you were to click on blight, you come to this page right here. And then you just click down here where it says submit report. And then you start to fill out this information right here. So you've got the type of problem. Sorry, this is small, you can't really see it, but the type of problem. You type in what the issue is, put your name, your phone number, your email address, and then you can just go ahead and click on the map. Now, Nanette's here, and she's going to see that's in front of her house. The house is not a blight. This is the public works shed that is right next to Nanette's house, which unfortunately
That's
right
Steven's
now is
office,
a blight.
actually, and then it's a blank.
So this is real. We've got a weed issue right in front of one of our sheds.
You do.
Yeah.
Every tree.
So, and it's right, we're going to solve it right here. Okay, so then you just hit report it, and then it shows up on the map here. Then what happens from there is this all gets managed in the Citizen Problem Manager, which is kind of a behind-the-scenes deal. We'll get an email that that's been submitted, and then we'll come in here and we can assign that to a department. And then what happens is we get a couple of emails. So I submitted this today, so as the resident submitting, you'll get this email thanking you for putting in the problem, and then we'll get back to you when we've resolved it. Another email will go to the department head, and they go back through the Citizen Problem Manager, go through and assign that to an individual. You can see there it's assigned to me. That individual then gets an email, goes through, solves the problem, we'll mark it as resolved, say what we did, hit save, and then department heads get an email saying we're done, it got done. We'll go back in here, and this is the part that I actually really like. We get the opportunity then to send a satisfaction survey to whoever it was that submitted the report. They get a chance to go to this link, fill out the survey, let us know how we did, and then we get to find out. So this has been live for about 2 months, 2.5 months, internally only. So what we've done is every phone call that we've received, instead of just tracking those by a text or sticky note, which is historically how we've done it, we've been putting them into this system. So we've had 88 reports in the last couple of months. You can see everything that's green there right now has been resolved. Everything that's yellow is in process. So that's what the dashboard looks like. This also helps us know how we're doing. Everything in red right now tells you anything that's over 7 days old. So we can go in there right now and see how we're doing. There's, like I said, with 88 reports, we've got 16 left that are over 7 days old and need to be resolved. And then this is our satisfaction survey. Because a lot of these were internal, we don't have email addresses, we haven't sent a whole lot of these surveys out yet, but we'll be able to see how we're doing on timing, how we're doing on satisfaction of whether we're resolving people's concerns to their satisfaction. So that's it. We want to roll it out pretty much immediately. It's ready to go live. We just need to get it on the website. We'll put some information in the newsletter. We're going to put some instructional videos out there, probably on the Facebook page. We're looking for somebody with a really cool accent to do some voiceovers. So if anybody will do that. But other than that, that's what we've got. If you got any questions, I'd like to answer them.
I do. And are these, I really like the idea of responding quickly. Or did you get this from another community or other communities doing this?
So this is Esri, which is the GIS provider that we use. They make the ArcGIS software. It's actually one of their out-of-the-box municipality programs. So they've rolled this out and made it free and available to any municipality. So there's a lot of people around the country using it. There's a lot of different communities that are using it. I don't know anybody really local that's doing this in this way. Other people have different ways. Like Spanish Fork, you can go on and fill out a form, but ours is the only one I know of that's geolocated like that. I like how they can click on wherever they are. The other thing that's cool, this works on mobile too, really great. So if you're out running or walking the dog and you see something, you can do this on your mobile phone and have it locate you right where you are, and put it in there.
I do have, I don't know if this is the right forum to talk about it, but I do have some legal questions or concerns about some some type of hazard or something that's reported isn't properly or quickly enough, managed, and someone is injured or something to that effect, and I just want to make sure that we're managing that properly, I guess is the.
Sure, that's a great concern. Good to talk about that.
I just don't know how quickly we can, what type of dangers there might be. I mean, I'm just putting on my legal hat.
Is there a, I can't remember seeing this, Steve, but is there a spot on there that, obviously an emergency, you call 911. Is there somewhere there that there's a button that can be urgent that shows?
We'll put that on that front page on the website, and there'll be some instructions that say that this is non-emergency only. In an emergency, please call 911, or we'll just put John's cell phone number on it. We haven't yet, so that's something we're going to address, make sure that's on the website. This is non-emergency only.
That's a good point by Councilman Reid too. We'll study that out with IRMA and talk to them a little bit to make sure we're addressing the legal issues to this. Because there's some things we need to make sure we take care of there. So.
One thing I will say to that, and again, this is purely administrative on our side, that right now the only mechanism we have to know about these things is people call. And the severity of the concern doesn't change. It's just now we have a way to know about it. And we're not getting lost in text string or sticky notes. Now we've actually got a way to.
So I can have like a program text, so when I get texts about different things, I can just respond this way instead of sending it on the website.
Yeah, send them a link.
Is this something that I go back online, I can see what I submitted?
Yeah.
Anybody in town sees what I submitted?
Absolutely, yeah.
So everybody can see everything, it's all over the.
Except the personal information.
So they won't report the same thing it does that.
That's
So
what
you
you're
can
getting
do that.
at.
You can go back in and comment. You can like it. I mean, you can do all the regular stuff you can on the
So
website.
you can go and say, this really is bad.
The churches around do this type of app. It's the same thing. You get on there and report the problem, who you are, and all that, and that registers. They report back to you when it's done. It's pretty good app.
Jonathan, do you want us to hold off to go live?
And my only concern is that if someone posts something, it's de facto notice to us as the city, this is a problem. I mean, from that day forward, we're advised and we're responsible for it.
Yep.
And which we should be. We should be very responsible. I just don't know. It would be nice to get IRMA's dealt with this kind of stuff all the time. Would it hurt you if we delayed it or by 1 week or
Just emotionally.
I really like the way that it allows us to be responsible. I love the interaction. That's my only concern. It is a significant one, I think, as far as I know, it's to the city.
I'll do some homework on that.
Let's work with IRMA and them on making sure we're covered that.
Or we can even approve it subject to their approval. I'm fine with that too.
Okay. So you report back to us some point on that, or me and Jonathan or Jim, or all three. Okay.
Got it.
What else you have, Steve?
That's it.
Thanks.
I just wanted to make you aware, we have decided to do our Meet the Candidate Night. The Springfield Mapleton Chamber of Commerce has reached out to us to facilitate that. And it will be on October the 8th, from 6:30 to 8. It will begin like we've had in the past, when they'll have a meet and greet from 6:30 to 7, and then questions that's from 7 to 8. We do have a box out in the lobby here by the utility window for people to come in and submit their questions.
Excellent. Thank you, Camille. Look forward to that. And congratulations to those in the running for office and the primary.
I'm good.
Corey. What? Nothing?
Nothing.
Oh.
Motion to adjourn. Maybe they can sit here.
I don't want to sit here. This is
Okay, thank you everyone for your participation.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion by Councilman Nelson, a second by Councilman Reid. All in favor?
Yes.
All right.